In the early 1800s, the mass import and production of whiskey and other alcohols led to excessive American drinking. The streets became dangerous and full of drunkards. Citizens quickly became aware of this, and it led to the temperance movement, which began in 1825. It was a call for less heavy drinking, and some radicals of the time even called for a complete ban of alcohol. Leaders and supporters of the movement produced political images depicting alcohol as a life-ruining, addictive, evil substance, one that destroyed families via the father's distant and/or abusive behaviors. Male intake of alcohol was thought to destroy women and children's lives, and some groups such as the Puritans saw drinking as ungodly and thought that consumption was a sin, so they pushed for temperance as a part of their religious journey. In this documentary, we're going to focus on one female figurehead of the temperance movement, Carrie Nation. Carrie Nation became an average temperance supporter when her first husband, an alcoholic with whom she had just had her first daughter with, died of excessive alcohol intake 2 years into their marriage. Nation would become a recognizable and highly ridiculed figure. Her first attempt at closing saloons took place at Medicine Lodge, where she sang a temperance hymn. She was thrown out, but as a result of her protesting, 4 of the 6 saloons in town were shut down. Carrie Nation was a woman who devoted her life to God, and upon praying one morning, she heard the words, "Go to Kiowa, and I'll stand by you." Nation set foot to Kiowa, Kansas, where her fight for temperance turned violent. She threw bricks and stones in the windows of saloons and entered the bars to shatter bottles, mirrors, and anything she could. On this day, Carrie Nation destroyed 6 saloons.
Carrie Nation was often belittled and made fun of due to her radically conservative views on alcohol. She was no pushover, though. Standing at 6 feet tall, she stood firm in her beliefs and values. The men who were at the saloons when she entered were told to move out of the way, because she did not intend any harm, but would do anything to achieve her goal. And the men allowed her to do so, as striking as it was, because it was considered ungentlemanly at the time to attack a woman. During speeches, she was often pranked and ridiculed. At one speech, a man handed her a bottle and told her that if she smashed it, he would never drink alcohol again. She did so, and the bottle released a sulfuric stench that he had put in it.
Carrie Nation eventually gained her most famous symbol, the hatchet, which she used in favor of her previous choice to smash saloons, rocks. Carrie Nation went through the states bombarding areas with saloons and releasing her hatchet upon them one by one. She was often arrested for defacing private property, and once was even arrested 4 different times in one day.
The symbol of Carrie Nation's hatchet became well known throughout. During her travels, Carrie even sold fake hatchets, and when she got arrested, would pay to be released using her money that she got from selling souvenirs and toffees. Her work became known as Hatchetations, which Nation made sure could not be ignored. The Women's Christian Temperance Union was one of the most prominent temperance movements at the time, and they noticed what Carrie Nation was doing. And while Nation actually started her own branch of the Women's Christian Temperance Union in Kansas, the original, which was founded in Cleveland by Frances Willard, disagreed with her violent tactics. Though this wasn't something that was new to Carrie Nation, and she continued to focus on recruiting women to her side. One of her most famous quotes being, "My strength was that of a giant. I tell you, ladies, you don't know how good it feels till you begin to smash, smash, smash."
As the image of Carrie Nation's popularity grew, an increasing amount of hatred was spewed towards her.
The owners of saloons began their own symbol to combat hers, signs saying all nations allowed but Carrie sat on the walls of countless bars of the time.
Nation was powered by her belief that this was God's mission for her, so a sign couldn't stop her. Some saw Nation's actions as trespassing, and in her lifetime, Carrie Nation was arrested more than 30 times. Despite this, her violent ventures came to a close in 1904 as she began to favor speeches over Hatchetations. She traveled, promoting temperance and dry bills, and visited Lebanon, Ohio in 1904 to preach.
Some branches of the Women's Christian Temperance Union renounced Carrie Nation. Others, such as the Pickerington branch, found her to be incredibly inspiring. Whilst giving a lecture at Eureka Springs, Arkansas in 1911, Carrie collapsed and then died several months later.
I was there! My dad and I went to see Carrie Nation speak during her lecture that took place in my hometown. Now, my father did enjoy a good brandy from time to time, so he was not exactly in favor of Carrie. But I had been taught in school the dangers of alcohol and made to fear by my teachers. The more temperance gained popularity. She was quite a unique and unafraid woman, to be sure, with strong viewpoints and lots to say. When she collapsed, it was very unexpected, though I imagine once she actually passed, town's bartenders, saloon owners, and others that enjoyed their fair share of wets aren't exactly mourning her. Carrie Nation got what she wanted, though, because thanks to her contribution and influence, the want for the dry bill to be passed, especially by women, got more and more favored. Heck, by the 20s with Prohibition, once the bill actually went into effect, if you were caught at a speakeasy, being a bootlegger, or even just trying to get away with having a swanky time that involved alcohol, the police would immediately pinch you up.
And so the legend of Carrie Nation lived on. Her temperance union in Kansas continued their work along with other women who stood out across the country. The work for temperance became a significant part of what would later become known as the Prohibition Act in 1919, or the 18th Amendment to the United States Constitution.